society's obsession with physical attractiveness is very, very shallow, naturally. But I also think that as a girl living in the 21st century, as many other girls who I'm sure have lived even before me, it's just something I'm impacted by daily. And not just girls, I think everybody is impacted by daily. So I can't not, feel the effects of it all. So I know this is all gonna sound pretty vain, but at the end of the day, being insecure sucks. And if I can help in any way relieve some of the thoughts that are weighing down on you, or if this brings you relaxation or even comfort in the fact that you are not alone, I'm so happy you are here. So, yeah, I was very lucky to have a pretty unaware, blissful, one might say, childhood when it comes to perception and self-perception and self-image and everything like that. I never was really hyper-aware or hyper-focused on how I looked until I think mid-high school, like junior year. I think because then I think that's when a lot of people, when I was kind of aware of dating culture and just pretty privilege and all of that sort of thing. But before then, I did not give a gaff. I knew like that I wanted to dress a certain way. I knew that I wanted to, I dyed my hair green, so I was obviously like knew that I could change my appearance and make it reflect how I felt. But I never did it for anyone else. Even now, I can say I can wish that I didn't do makeup, that I just did makeup for myself, and which is very much true. But at the end of the day, I am still affected by the idea of appearing pretty to other people, which sucks. But it is what it is, And when I was a junior in high school is, like I said, when I started to kind of realize that I was being perceived in that sense. And I think I started wearing makeup then too, or at least trying to get better at it, because my sophomore year I did kind of experiment with makeup, but it was all kind of ass. It was never to cover anything up or appear more beautiful. It was just kind of like a funky eyeliner or eyeshadow or something like that, I think that I'm very glad, I'm very grateful that I didn't really have a perception of that, which did also, I think, just because I was never I was very unaware of the whole, which, okay, this is gonna sound so pick-me, or this might be sounding pick-me, but it's just the way that my brain genuinely worked. I just wasn't really aware of how beauty and the idea and the whole, the concept around being beautiful and looking pretty impacted one's daily life so much. I just never considered that, because again, I'm very lucky that it was never being like pushed in my face, or I was never being commented on the way that I looked or anything like that. But one thing that I have always struggled with was my skin, and specifically like acne. I think some people are like, oh, I have such bad acne, but it's just pimples, like here and there, which is very normal. Acne is very normal. Also, let me just say, but my senior year, when I thought I'd finally got my shit together, and I was like, not in my prime, but like out of my years in high school, I felt the most pretty out of all those years. I was nerfed with cystic acne pretty bad, and that really took a toll, I think, on my self-esteem. I don't really know why it happened, because I would say I'm quite the health nut at times, or not at times, I'm pretty rooted in my psyche, so it was never, I don't think it was caused by anything diet related or anything like that. I think it was really, or hygiene, I think it was a mix of stress and it's something that I've just had to learn to feel better about if all these things are not working, to get rid of it in that sense. So I have to change my mindset about it, which is a struggle, I will say. Because recently I had a pretty bad breakout. A lot of it happens when I'm close to like my period, you know. And there's a few things that I do, and this is like the advice portion, I guess, about how I kind of find ways to love myself. Now, obviously, there's always like affirmations and things like that. I've never personally found that affirmations work for me, just like by looking in the mirror and being like, I am beautiful. Because as much as you it's silly, but at this point it's like whatever helps, I guess. I would look up celebrities with acne, which I know is so silly, but when you see these people who are like the ideal of beauty, because a lot of celebrities are drop dead gorgeous, and you see these people who also have like everyday very real person, because at the end of the day they're real people, like issues, I'm like, wow, this doesn't look bad on this person at all, so why do I have to think it's so ugly on me, you know? Because yeah, like, it's not inherently bad. The thing with insecurity is that it's all rooted on like societal things, that like societal beauty standards, which are forever changing. Like, for example, Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians are getting their like BBLs removed, and I think we as a society treat bodies like fast fashion, which is unfortunately the case, and I don't think it should be, because everyone is beautiful, I think, which I know is like everyone's beautiful in their own way, but I really think that is true, and it's too bad that social media, I think a reason why so many teen girls specifically are insecure now in this period in time is because with apps like TikTok, you can just scroll and scroll and scroll and see all of these beautiful girls that all look the same, and they don't look like you. So it's like there's this one idea of beauty, which is the furthest thing from the truth, I think, because so many cultures also have different ideas of beauty. Then Western beauty standards are so different than the beauty standards in other parts of the world, so it's all so subjective. And I think that's really important to remember, because at the end of the day, it's really not that deep, because looks fade. And I've noticed this especially now that I'm out of high school. Like, everything I was so concerned about in high school, like social status and appearing cool, does not matter whatsoever now, because I am out of high school and doing my own thing, and in college no one really cares. I know, I think it's a lot different in certain programs, and if you're in like a sorority or a frat or anything like that, but if you're just doing your own thing and like ran your classes, no one cares, which I think is good to remember, because at the end of the day it's really not that deep. One thing that I do to help myself though, if I'm feeling pretty like insecure, is I will do something to enhance something about myself that I like. And they always say like makeup doesn't make you pretty, it just enhances your features and enhances your already pretty features and makes them more prominent. So for example, I put on, these are fake lashes. I've recently started doing fake lashes because for me it's that I feel really insecure when I'm not wearing makeup. So what are some things that I could do to make myself feel a little prettier when I'm not wearing makeup? For example, lashes. And of course, I would like to get to the point where I'm not wearing any lashes or any makeup and I just feel like a baddie. But at this time in my life, that's what I like need to just, or kind of prefer to just feel prettier when I look in the mirror after waking up in the morning, you know. Another thing is I love fashion and I love dressing up, and I think that that's a really good way to express myself. there's usually